Hey guys, I want to make an impromptu video today on the books that I feel are very valuable to my business. And also, I believe, especially if you are also in the online space, selling whether digital products, selling e-commerce on things like if you're selling on Amazon, or even better, if you have your own store selling on Shopify, WooCommerce, um, and your own products. A lot of these books I feel are very profitable, and I want to give you my take on some of the ideas that are shared in this book and my personal experience with it. So it's just kind of on the fly, but I think it will really benefit. I hope you can post some nuggets out of these books and some of these ideas that I got from it as well, and interacting with my own personal experience. The first one I want to talk about here is this e-commerce evolved by Tanner Larson. Now, Tanner Larson, what's interesting with him is that he actually started selling digital products, and he started selling back in the days when I think it was a few years ago. I've been in this game for quite a while now, over 10 years in the online space. And back then, he was selling digital products, teaching people how to sell courses. The one I bought was actually a micro continuity course that he's teaching people how to just basically set up a funnel where you sell people very low price items like $5 per month, and you would have a newsletter on a specific passion like knitting, passion on say golfing, or passion on like anything that you have a passion on, you can find a niche on, and he would be teaching people how to do that. Now, since then, he has grown to now, basically doing e-commerce and showing people. And not only is he having his own stores doing e-commerce, he now has written this book. One of his most famous books lately is the e-commerce evolved, which one of his big companies is build, grow, and scale. And what I like about this with Tanner Larson is that he is not really jumping on the fad of the recent Shopify craze. You know how those 18, 19-year-old kids where they're just throwing up stores and they are, um, you know, promoting products left, right, and center. And a lot of them, if you've seen the space, it's not good because they are like promoting copyrighted materials. Sometimes they're stolen from obviously the stuff like Kickstarter campaigns, and and it's kind of like a fly-by-night effort by a lot of these people who are doing the drop shipping Shopify model. But with Tanner Larson here, just by taking a look at some of his table contents, and I've been reading some of his contents here, what I like about is essentially he's teaching you how not to be like one of those fly-by-nights, and he's teaching you how to build a funnel instead of the traditional having a traditional Shopify store. Okay, he talks about the 12 core principles of e-commerce. Okay, your business is not unique, your business is marketing. Okay, now the idea about your business is not unique, he talks about the idea is it's like you don't have to go and find something absolutely unique that nobody has ever thought of. If you're looking at something like that, the chance of you succeeding is not very high because you don't want to be just going to an industry that nobody cares about. You want to be in an industry where people are already buying. You go into the traditional niches like health, beauty, right? Things that people are already buying things for. The you can be selling things that people are looking for instead of trying to buy something that people are not wanting. Okay, and your business is marketing. Without marketing, you can't. Nobody knows about your brand, no matter how great your store or your products are. Nobody knows. So from then on, he's just talking about the pure course. I'm not going to go through each and every single one. Brand centric, not product centric. The idea again, if you're looking at the majority of these Shopify craze, they are product centric, right? They're drop shipping things where they're just trying to find the next fad, the next craze, like the next fidget spinner that really hit the market, right? So he's saying build a brand because the drop shipping model, not that it's not going to work, but if you don't have a brand that people can connect with, it's not really going to be a long-term endeavor that's going to be sustainable, right? And he says you got to control the order process. That's where he talks about the funnel. Don't compete on price. Never try to sell the cheapest. And that's very, very important, because how many times have you been to a place where the person, the business owner, the first thing they say is, oh, we do the cheapest. And the moment I hear that, I have very big reservation, because you don't want to compete on price. You want to compete on the quality. You want to compete on the process, the customer experience through which they're going through your store. Okay, so that's very important. Business costs money. If you're not mobile, you're out. Okay, meaning you got to be mobile friendly. A lot of people are on their phones now. You can't expect everyone to just buy your products on the desktop. Okay, and he talks about the one who can spend the most to acquire customer wins, and that's true. I mean, if some guy can spend, let's say one person can spend $100 to get $1,000 back, and the person can spend $100 and get $500 back. The guy who can double his sales and revenue is the one who's going to outbid the other guy, right? And he talks about selling multiple channels, and then it gets into the three parts, the three ways to grow a business. Okay, and he talks about the funnel-based e-commerce, which is a really, really big thing that he talks about. How to build a funnel, because if you look at the traditional Shopify store or whatever platform you use, it's always just relying on the product. You go to the product page and people look around. If there's good description and if it's a good call to action, if it's a nice product, then they buy. But what he's trying to say here is, instead of giving people the ability to go to the store and browse around, click on the about, click on the other products, that's all distracting. What he's talking about is you want to build a funnel. You want to build a funnel because you can actually direct people's attention to specific products that you know have been proven to sell. For example, just like on Amazon, they like to have things like frequently bought together. That's what he's talking about. How you're going to be able to build a funnel and he has graphs on this. I'm just going through the content. What do you call it? The table of contents. But he has good graphs, and I'm trying to find for you. Yeah. So he talks about the recurring model. The reason why you want to do the funnel, as he was talking about, is you can control funnel-based e-commerce. You can control where your advertising dollars are going to go through. You don't want to be paying, let's say, 50 cents or $1 for a targeted prospect to come to your store, and then they just leave because they don't know what they're looking at, right? And then that's where he talks about using ClickFunnels, which I think I want to talk about. Obviously, this book is very, very popular, .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, and he's one of the top marketers with the biggest, SaaS company, ClickFunnels. And yeah, I may get into that later. The pieces of a sales funnel, and he talks about specific, like how a sales page should look like, the checkout, order bump, product image. And if you just go through this book, he has good illustration on what front-end product to sell, the upsell, the downsell, and you can't do that with just a traditional Shopify store. Now, there are apps right now. There are applications where you can install in the store that tries to mimic this process, okay? But having a specific funnel dialed down instead of having a store with product pages, it's going to be much better, much easier, in my opinion, if you want to run this funnel, because you can do downsells, upsells, and you can definitely increase the lifetime order value of your customer versus a person who just sell a $20 gadget and you're actually upselling them, downselling them on the back end for double that sales. You can get anywhere between $40 or $50. Now, we're not even talking about apps in your store, which you can have things like mobile retargeting that I personally use, where you can increase another 3 to 5% or more on those people who just left your store, and you give them a discount. Now, this is not even counting that, right? So if you use your e-commerce, the whole idea about beating your competitor, having a higher lifetime value of each of your customers, you can really beat them out of the water, because they can't compete with you if you're able to increase your lifetime value customer using the funnel that he's talking about, and also using specific apps, retargeting. Lots of people are not doing retargeting, but a lot of people only know about Facebook retargeting or Google retargeting. Those are good, but you can also do retargeting, as I talk about, through the mobile phone, through email, right? Through many different channels, and that's how you bump up your lifetime value for your customers, okay? So he also talks about then, the recurring income core. You need to have something that is recurring, okay? Because if you're always just trying to look for that front end customer, it's a churn and burn business model, okay? You don't want that. Now, for example, if you look at Amazon, right? They sell products, but they have Prime, right? Why do they do Prime? Because they want to have a steady flow of revenue coming in. In fact, the reason why Amazon is doing so well and people are really liking to invest in their companies because a large portion of their business model is based on the Prime subscription. So he goes into talking about how um, you should really get into the recurring income core. You can do subscription boxes, right? And if you have an e-commerce store, I mean, the ideas are endless in terms of subscription boxes. I mean, I think a while ago I came to this subscription box where they ship you clothes, men clothes every month, and you're welcome to cancel and refund it. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy them. You can choose them. I mean, stuff like that, right? Or you can, so many different ideas of subscription box that you can do that gives you recurring income, okay? And obviously newsletter, digital and physical, it's where he started as well, right? He already talked about the idea of having people subscribe to your newsletter, and before, when he was doing digital products, he was saying selling them really low, $4.99 or something, so people don't even bother canceling it because they're like, hey, I may just check back every once in a while, and they don't cancel. So you end up having a recurring model of revenue coming into the business, right? And so this is a very important chapter if you want to look at recurring income core, right? Multiple continuity streams, not just having one, right? And thinking before you sell, he talks about the product pricing. You got to test everything, right? You got to know what your margins are, right? And you can do private label. It's not necessarily a product that you have to build from scratch. It talks about product fulfillment. And the chapter 4, conversion tricks, sales boost, profit maximizers, right? These are the things we talked about. How can you maximize your profits? How can you maximize the per dollar amount per customer who comes to your store? And this way, your competitor really can't compete with you, right? Tripwires, giving them something low in the beginning and then selling them for higher later on. Flash sales, hey, it's Cyber Monday or it's a Black Friday. These kind of things. We're all very familiar with those, okay? And then he talks about part 2 now, evolve intelligence, your target market. You got to know your customer demographics, right? If you're selling something that's female targeted and it's a beauty product, you're probably going to be targeting females who are over 35 or 40 years old. And you're also going to know the regions. You're going to track. You're going to know the data. If you have not if you have not installed Google Analytics or Facebook, if you have not been looking at your Facebook tracking, and things like that, then you really need to be doing that because you're missing on a lot of data that your customers are telling you. I mean, the least you can do is look at the email list, go through the buyer list of people who bought from your store, and throw it into Facebook as a custom audience, and then do a lookalike audience, and then you can also do a survey, which he talks about here. Do a survey on your customers. Ask them, hey, what are the things that you like? What are the things that you don't like, right? You gotta know what your customers are thinking, okay? And he talks about SimilarWeb, how you can check out your competitors using SimilarWeb is a very good tool. I use it many times. And so you gotta know your customer avatar, okay? And then the competition, you gotta analyze them. If you want to look at whether they're doing SEO or doing paid traffic, you can use tools like SEMrush. You can also check out their comparative backlinks. Okay, Bazumo is more so for like social marketing, trying to check out what kind of posts they have. Are they going viral? Have they gone viral? That's a tool for that. Exploiting your data, basically knowing how to analyze your data. Is not enough to just grab the data, but you got to know what it means, right? And and then number 3, evolve marketing, advertising channels. This is where he goes about, like in the beginning, the core concept of you can't just have free traffic, you have to pay traffic. So he talks about the traffic that you own, that comes from your email list, right? That comes from your your brand, people just coming and searching for you. Okay, this is traffic that you own. Mainly is the list you have and how you build a rapport with them. And then traffic you control is like paid advertisement. Okay, and the traffic you don't control is like organic, unpaid advertisement, SEO, and things like that. You kind of control them, but you don't really, because Google can do some kind of an update of the SEO of the SEO algorithm. And if you haven't done, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I mean, even people who are doing super white hat SEO, they could be affected because of some algorithm issues. Has happened to other people. So you have to know what type of traffic is coming to your store, into your business, and you have to leverage it in the right way. And this is where he talks about you got to understand demographics of cold traffic, warm traffic, and hot traffic. Meaning, if you're just buying advertising straight to someone who has never heard of you before, that's cold traffic. And you need to probably warm them up with something that perhaps is a lower price item, right? You don't go and sell something that's super high ticket on someone who really don't know you. You want to warm them up. And then you have hot traffic, people who have actually bought from you. These are your customers. You want to offer them something of value. This is where you can sell them. If you're in a digital space, you can sell them masterminds in the 4 to 5 figures area. But in the beginning, for digital products, you probably would not be selling a 5 figure, like a $10,000 mastermind, to someone who doesn't even know about you. Okay, so it's the idea of understanding the types of traffic. Okay, and then he talks about front end marketing. Basically, he says why traffic is not your problem. It's the conversion issue. It's your target. It's your offer issue, right? You gotta know how to put the right offer, the right funnel, because without that, you can buy whatever traffic. It's not that doesn't convert. It's not going to help you either way. Okay. And then he talks about back end marketing. Back end marketing is something that I kind of alluded to earlier. Having specific processes and funnels and apps that help you increase the lifetime value of your customer. This way, you can afford to buy more advertising. This way, you can afford to have some downtimes during some seasons, especially if your store is seasonal. If you're selling things, let's say if you have a store that is in the camping or in the area, which is more geared towards the summertime, then there may be seasonal fluctuations. And so you're able to actually weather through those seasonal fluctuations if you have a better back end in the marketing. Okay, so he talks about email marketing as well, and give you some final thoughts. So I would say overall, this book, I haven't fully like page by page read everything, but what he talks about here is so golden. Now, the reason why I skipped through some of this stuff is because, over a decade in the online space, I have some ideas of what he talks about. So I skipped the things that doesn't, I feel like I already understand. Okay. But there are a lot of things that I learned from his book here, especially if you're doing e-commerce, especially if you have your own store, if you have your own brand. Let's say you're an influencer, you have your own brand, you're selling your own merchandise, right? You want to listen to what he says. Okay. And the also, another thing I like is the graphics. This is kind of on the side. Obviously, you want to look for the content. He doesn't have too much graphics here, but the ones that he has is kind of cool, isn't it? I mean, check it out. It's not like something just was slapped together. Because what happens, here's kind of like in a side note, what sometimes people do is they would just write books in an attempt to upsell them to something bigger. Now, he obviously he has other bigger trainings, right? He wants you to climb up his ladder of purchasing more than just a book, right? Back here he talks about where the world's top e-commerce entrepreneurs go to double their business. So he is selling his higher end courses, but his book is solid. It's not one of those where people just write a book and their entire intention is just to sell their higher end ticket program. And you can tell when people are just doing that, right? They're not giving real content. They're not really giving actionable ideas that you can use. But in here, Tanner Larson has done a great job. He's got lots of content, a lot of actionable items. Honestly, there's no need to get to his upper level programs, in my opinion. Unless you're doing like 7 or 8 figures in e-commerce and you really want to super grow it, then yeah, you can check it out. But I would say if you're just working with a store that's in the 6-figure arena, you can definitely take it to 7 figures using this the methodologies and principles talked about here. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed. No one can guarantee the growth of any business, and failure is always an option as well if you don't, implement the things properly, or also there's seasonal fluctuating factors of products right? But overall, I've talked way too much, way too long on this book already. I would like to kind of go through other ones. Maybe I'll skip through some of them, but the next one I want to talk about is .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. That one is really, really good as well. And if you're in the online space, you will not have missed this book by Russell Brunson. It took the market by storm. .com Secrets. It's also one of the great ways he used to promote his software company, ClickFunnels. And ClickFunnels is great. I think there are a lot of features that just can't be matched by other services or products out there that try to mimic it. Okay, it just can't. It's a $300 million company built from the ground from Russell Brunson. So this guy's just really great. And .com Secrets. Okay, maybe you have even watched it. If you watch it, I mean, not watch it. If you read it yourself, I mean, you can skip part of this. But I mean, his is also one of those books where there's so much content in there, and I'm just gonna go through it and talk about some of the stuff I like here. But I mean, look at these little graphics. I mean, he illustrates it. It's not one of those books where he sells for higher things. He does sell at the end, but he's providing so much value. It's like, I mean, that's why I bought stuff from him, because it's just so much value, right? And you can use so much of that in your business. Okay, so you talk about section 1, ladders and funnels. Again, the idea of having your funnel. You got to find, you're gonna have that value ladder. He talks about basically you want your customers to ascend that value ladder, right? So he talks about in the beginning the offline method. You basically do direct mail. Okay, but the online method is where you drive traffic, get their email address, and then have them to buy. But he actually has a more sophisticated funnel now. He talks about how when he first started, he was selling, I think it was some kind of like some kind of a potato gun or something like that. It was pretty interesting. And old media versus new media. It's just kind of like the new way of promoting on the internet. Instead of using TV, we use YouTube now. Instead of networking, we use Facebook, stuff like that. Direct mail has become email marketing, right? And this picture is pretty prevalent, right? People are talking about how what people see are like up here, but your business actually should have a solid foundation like this. Okay, and now he talks about the ladders and the funnels, the secret formula, right? Who, where, bait, and result. You gotta know your dream client, where you can find them, right? Talks about that. The ladder, the value ladder. Okay, this is a very important concept it grabs, and this is something that I think people should attribute more to Russell Brunson here than they should, because a lot of people actually take these ideas now and started like promoting it as if it's like their idea. Now, obviously, it's not Russell's idea. It was there long before, but he, through ClickFunnels and through his books, .com Secrets, and his own webinars and things like that, he's really ironed out the idea for people to have this value letter to send, like a tripwire, a $7 product, upselling them to $297, and then $497, and then maybe like a mastermind, your top value letter like a mastermind, stuff like that, right? And so he talks about the same thing you can do for like a local business, like a dentist, right? Give them a teeth cleaning, then teeth whitening, give them a retainer and cosmetics and things like that. And then you also get the recurring subscription income by the 6 months checkup, right? Have them come back, and so you have recurring incomes, right? And so he talks about his own .com Secrets value letter. He gives you a free quiz, get a free book, which I have here, and then he gives the invisible funnel webinar, which I watch and also purchase, the home study events, inner circle, and stuff like that, right? So it works. This stuff works. I mean, I'm sure you have probably gone through a funnel or a ladder of similar sort, and that's why you purchase from that person, is because they got you through that funnel, right? I mean, same thing for me. So you got to think about what your own value letter looks like. Skipping through this, from a ladder to a funnel. Value letter versus funnel, okay? So he talks about, it's kind of like a hybrid, okay? Because you can have a funnel and also have a value letter, and that's when you bring people in and draw them into that funnel, okay? Traffic, bait, front end, middle, back end, kind of what we talked about. And how to find your dream customers. He talks about, hey, you got to see where are they already hanging out. Instead of just trying to like blast it through brand, this is where big brands like Coca-Cola, and Walmart and insurance companies, AT&T, they do branding, right? So they buy advertisings on TV, on large YouTube ad campaigns, stuff like that. But you don't want to do that if you're selling your own digital products, or if you're selling your own products in an e-commerce store. You want to know where they're already hanging out. This is what he talks about. You're going to know who your target market is. And he talks about where are they congregating, see? Where exactly are they at, right? So you want to go to, let's say, like a forum. Are they hanging out in specific forums, specific Facebook groups? You want to know where they are already at, and then go and market to them there. Either buy a banner ad on that forum, or go to those Facebook groups and provide value, or you can do Facebook ads, driving to those specific places, right? And then it talks about inquire interrupt. So it's kind of like the pattern interrupt that people talk about. Frank Kern talks about that as well, pattern interrupt. So you'll see Frank Kern on his Facebook videos and his ads. He has those interrupts. And one time he had this model at the back, and she doesn't say anything. She just sits there, and then he starts talking about his offer and his promo, and people on the comments are saying like, why is that model sitting at the back? It has no relevance to anything, but it's a pattern interrupt. People are like, what's going on? They see that, and it gets people's attention, right? So you're gonna get the curiosity. Hey, well, what's that about, right? Have that pattern interrupt. And he talks about the 3 types of traffic. Okay, it's kind of like in the Tanner Larson, he talks about that as well. 3 types of traffic: traffic that you control, traffic you don't control, and traffic that you own. Okay, traffic you own is, again, like your email list and people who have bought from you. That's the best ones. People who trust you, and you have control, and you own that traffic, right? No one can take that away from you. Okay. And what I like about his book here too is for Russell Brunson, and it'll help you a lot in your whatever you're selling online or your particular business, is he actually gives you particular examples of what he has used and the conversion rates and the split testing that he does. He actually has a product, Russell Brunson. He has a product where he just goes and shows you. I bought that product where he just shows you the split testing. I think it's something about like 100 split tests or something. I don't remember how many split tests, but he shows you all the split testing that he has done, and he breaks it down to you with the data in terms of what his findings were, and it looks something like this. Okay, and he gives you the landing page, and he shows you the title, and it's just, I mean, I don't think he talks about this. I don't remember that product is called, but you can search it up. It's really good. You basically can see his split testing data and then apply it to your own business, right? So it gives you another example. Okay, your communication funnel. Now it goes into section 2. This is a very interesting part. Okay, the attractive character. Okay, which I honestly I've never heard of. Okay, this is something that people who are more in the direct marketing field, if they're sending mails in the past, they know this, but I had no idea. And it talks about there are different ways. Something called a reluctant hero, or which he talks about later. I don't remember where it is, but it's basically you have to build that story, the character, for people to connect with you. And let me see here. Oh, here it is, the reluctant hero. So the different identities that you can create, that persona for your particular brand, or for your if you're selling a digital product. I mean, especially you want to have that backstory, the parables, the flaws. Hey, he talks about, hey, I'm not perfect. Look, I've messed up so many times, right? So he talks about how he has failed many times, and so people can relate to you. They can draw similarities. They can invoke the similar emotions. Hey, when I was down here and failing, blah, 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 people can connect with you. And, it has to be genuine, right? And then he talks about, hey, you can be the leader, someone who is like a pioneer in something and just does something, people follow you. You can be the reluctant hero. Hey, I didn't want to. The reluctant hero is actually really great. I kind of adopted that in some of my funnels as well. Is hey, I didn't imagine I was going to teach about this, but I found out by trial and error and through sweat and heartache that this can be done, can be achieved, something like that, right? So and then you start telling your storylines, the loss and redemption, how you lost it all and redeem. People love this stuff, right? And so it's just he starts talking about this. It's just really, really interesting in this book. One of the things I think he did really well is he shows you the attractive character, how to tell your backstory, how to have the attractive character speak in parables, right? And sharing about the flaws, the identity of the attractive character, the leader, the adventurer, the reluctant hero. And And so now he even gives you these fill in the blanks. He also has another product where what is it? Something script. I don't remember exactly, but you basically just choose specific topics and then you just fill in the blanks and it has your entire script. I think it's called script funnel or something. I don't remember exactly, but that's a pretty great product as well. You fill in the blanks and then you have that story of loss and redemption, right? I had everything was on top of the world, life was great. Then this happened, right? Had to figure my way out, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because what I went through was blah blah blah, and I learned this, and so it's really really amazing how he kind of now in this book, right? He obviously doesn't give you all the details. Because he has other products he sells too. The next one he will go into is like the webinar, right? His webinar is pretty good too, right? And he gives you a whole bunch of offers. You buy the thing, and it also gives you ClickFunnels. It's a very a great offer. So if you have not been through the funnel with Russell Brunson yet, you need to go through his funnel. Okay, and I'm not even giving you my affiliate link here. I'm not even promoting it. I'm just telling you he's got great stuff, right? Um, Now the soap opera sequence, okay, is soap opera sequence is very cool. I mean, I bought Andre Chaperon email sequence. I don't even remember what his product was, but and the thing with Andre Chaperon is he has such a small email list in the beginning, and yet he was able to make some of the biggest affiliate commissions because of the stories that he built through his email sequence. Now, once you have the asset, right, it's traffic that you control, which is like your email list, you need to know how to properly monetize them and build that relationship, right? And so he talks about the soap opera sequence. You set the stage in day one, and then you give a high drama, right? Something that people are like, oh, well, I got to figure out what's happening, right? And then there's the epiphany, the hidden benefits, and then the urgency, the call to action, right? Pretty cool stuff. And he gives you examples, right? Subject number one, and he gives you you see, I remember right, it's the potato gun, right? So he sold the potato gun. So he gives you the subject, right, of his emails. About 10 years ago, I started my first online business while I was in college selling potato guns. And my other business are where I test and try stuff out. .com secrets is where blah, 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 what I've learned. And so he gives you the actual emails that he has. Very good book. Very nice. That's how the soap opera sequence works. Daily Seinfeld sequence. Okay. Daily Seinfeld emails. Now, what I like about when he talks about the email marketing sequence, it's like he always like to, and Andre Chopin talks about that too. It's like this little hook, right? It's like an open loop, what they call an open loop. And it's something that you tell people about it, and you're like, I'll tell you that in a second or something. Or you start a story and you don't continue it. It's just like in the TV series. He talks about how the episode will open with a high drama, and right when you don't know what's about to happen, and then they go back to like say like 4 hours earlier and something like that, and he teaches you how to use that in your email marketing to achieve a similar effect, right? You would get into a high drama right away, and then you don't finish that. That's called an open loop. And then you go through the rest of your email, and then later on, either the rest of the email or the next day or next few days, you continue that story, right? It's actually a very effective way to communicate. You know, even I've been into webinars, I've been into emails or listening to people, and I know what they're doing. They're doing, and I know I'm like, hey, he's doing the open loop, but it still gets you right. If you're watching a TV show, and they give you that open loop, that high drama, and you don't know what's going on, you want to find out because that is human nature, right? So you want to employ that human psychology in your email marketing efforts as well, right? Okay, so now he talks about reverse engineering a successful funnel. Basically, he talks about using SimilarWeb. You can go check out what other competitors are doing. Are they using paid traffic, social media traffic, SEO, or how much traffic are they getting in? And SimilarWeb is a free tool, right? You can use it. You can use it just for free. Obviously, if you want more data on it, you will need to pay for SimilarWeb. Okay. And how to reverse engineer a successful campaign. Okay, so here it is, SimilarWeb. He talks about how you can reverse engineer. I actually heard about SimilarWeb through Russell, and it's a tool that I use very often when I check out competitors. So you don't want to not use it, right? And then this tool, what runs where is where, and there are other similar tools where they can the other one's AdBeat. AdBeat's the other one, where it basically archives all the big banners on the internet in the past 30, 60, 90, 1 or 2 years. Okay, and you can look at what people have put on the internet as their banner. If someone, if an advertiser has been advertising for over 30, 60, 90 days, you know that campaign is profitable. You know it's profitable. So you want to either build campaigns or products around that niche and kind of go after that instead of just doing something that nobody knows about, right? So what runs where, AdBeat, those are good. 7 phases of a funnel. Then he talks about, again, like the hot cold traffic, how to opt them in, the value letter, and in the meantime, it kind of like brings it together through as he ends the book and wrap it all together. It's all about the pre-frame you're selling. Like you want to frame people in a specific mindset. Just like when people do high ticket selling on calls, is they pre-frame them, right? They have them apply through a form. Why do you qualify to work with me? Things like that. It's setting people in a frame so that they're more likely to buy from you as such, right? So qualify your subscribers, change the selling environment, and such. 23 building blocks of a funnel. Then he talks about pre-frame bridge, qualifying your subscribers, qualify your buyers, and identify buyers in the heat. Hey, especially for people who just bought from you, you want to sell. This is where you sell the mastermind. This is where you sell when people are really hot. That's why if you're in an event, and in that event, a lot of people more buy because they're at the event, they're meeting people, and they're hot. So you want to sell more in that kind of environment, right? So gives you examples as well, really cool stuff, right? Lots and lots of examples. Oh, here it is. 108 proven split test winners. This is the one I was talking about. 108 proven split test winners. And it was like really cheap. This was a free book too. I didn't remember. And then I later bought his other stuff. He has a bunch of other stuff. So, I mean, he gets you with the book, right? He gets you with the book and the like split test winners. Right, and I think I also bought something else. I don't remember, but it's like cheap, $20, and he upsells you to like $200, and then $9.97 for on his webinar for his entire like course and like ClickFunnels and things like that. It's really good though. It was really good. Lots and lots of examples. This is what I like about him. He gives you like lots of examples, so you're not just like guessing. A lot of these people just give you like all these ideas, but you don't have specific concrete examples. But he actually gives you those concrete examples, which is what I like, right? So he talks about front end versus back end funnels, right? Perfect webinar, right? Invisible funnel. This is where I bought, and he has this high ticket. I didn't buy his high ticket thing, but this is where you want to send people through that value letter. The funnel framework, the graphics are pretty cool too, right? The best bait, the 100 visitor test, right? Buying 100 visitors, your product $197. Give them the free CD, right? And he talks about giving something for free has a conversion, and then later using the upsell using the funnel. It's way better than selling the $197 product. So that's why you see a lot of people do the free shipping models, because you get them in. And one thing is a trick you can use, a really good strategy you can use is you can see Russell Brunson does the same thing. When he sells the free book, he has this little button, just one little button, and it's like, hey, do you want the audio version of this? And he sells for $47, and he says like 20, 30% of some people buy it. So initially he's selling like a free plus shipping offer, but the 20 or 30% who buy those audio version immediately bumps up his order value, and he just really kills it that way. So you still see it on his page. You still see it on his page. The bump test, this is where he talks about, I think. Yeah, here it is. See? Free shipping, $0, 33% bump conversion. See that just by clicking that button right there. You want the audio version, right? Or something. You can upsell them, and then after that, they upsell them $197, $297. 3 times people see upsells, right? 1, 2, 3. You see that? That is just amazing. If you have a funnel, and this is how you beat your competition, by increasing the lifetime value of your customer by doing stuff like this, right? So very, very amazing stuff he talks about here. This is where he talks about funnels and scripts, right? And front end funnel, 2-step, free plus shipping, and it gives you the actual funnel. And if you subscribe to some if you buy his ClickFunnels, okay, online platform, and also on the webinar, he gives you all this stuff for free. You can just clone them. So if you get on this webinar, you can clone all these webinars that he has. You do not have to build them from scratch. And obviously, you edit your own stuff in there. You edit your own offer, your own benefits and whatever. So you got to do that part, right? But he gives you also the excuse me, sorry about that. I apologize. The OTO, one-time offer script, right? And I've used this to the T. I obviously changed it to my own offer. I've used it. It's very useful, right? Confirm initial decision. Hey, you made the right decision, blah, blah, blah. And then it talks about this is going to help you speed up your process and learning this and that. And I know you're smart. Why? Because you bought this, blah, blah. And he goes through the entire script, and you just basically fill in the blank. And this is how he teaches how to sell through the funnels, right? Self-liquidating offer, right? Star story solution, talking about the characters. Just gonna kind of skim through this continuity, right? If you want to sell continuity, it tells you how to do that funnel, right? And then perfect webinar. This one I used it is very good, okay? And I like it as well. You basically the thing with webinars, you can pitch higher end products on webinars. It's hard to do it just on videos, right? If you have it on the webinar, you can sell things for like $997, $1,500, or you can also do the high ticket selling, which is have them come to a call and kind of sell them on the call on anywhere between $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 or more. Some people do that as well. Okay. And one thing here, this perfect webinar structure is very, very useful, and I've used it too. And you see that a lot of people now, use this perfect webinar structure. If you go see some people pitch, I've seen it being pitched in some areas that are non-related. They're not even related to the online marketing scheme, online marketing field. I've seen people do this for like stock trading. They're pitching their own stock trading education service, and they're using the exact same perfect webinar sequence, right? And so he has really popularized, the whole online marketing ways of how to market and things like that. Invisible webinar funnel. Here it is. Invisible funnel script that we talked about. He gives you scripts on, hey, just kind of like just fill in the blank. It makes it so much easier. Product launch, it's a lot less prevalent now. Back in the days when John Walker was doing the product launch, I think it's product launch formula that he has. And that was like the big thing, like back in maybe I would say about like 10 years ago. That was huge. Product launches. People would just do JVs. They would, launch each other, like they would just launch products and promote each other's things, right? Back-end funnel, high-ticket 3-step application. See, that's what he talks about, right? He has his own thing too. Have a case study. You apply. Why should you qualify? And then he has someone to basically close the sale on the phone, right? The 2-step. And he also has another product, I think, is just teaching that model of the high-ticket model. I don't remember what it is. I bought that as well. And it's where he teaches this whole funnel where he would have people opt in, have a case study, and then he would get them on the phone. And then he doesn't sell them anymore. Obviously, he has people just doing it, and he has his 2 guys who are doing it. I think one is like an appointment setter, the other one's like the closer. And he teaches you how to do that. So he gives you the script. But this is a very short version of it. I mean, and his actual courses that you buy, I think that one is another $997, like another $1,000. And he goes into much, much more detail. And it makes sense, right? He can't just, put all the details in one single book, right? I mean, so, there's so much gem in here. He basically gets you started. If you're really interested in looking at like funnels and how to, if you're selling anything online, digital, or e-commerce, you have to get this .com secrets book. I'm not putting any affiliate link or anything. I just did an impromptu kind of like review or my take on it today. So I'm not putting any affiliate links. I'm just saying if you're selling stuff online, if you're having your e-commerce store, you got to look at Tanner Larson's book. If you're selling anything digital, you got to look at .com secrets, right? You got to check out Russell Brunson's products, and he teaches you how to sell e-commerce stuff as well. It's not just for selling digital products. So I would definitely check that out. Oh, I mean, we're almost closing. What is this, like almost an hour in? I think we're 45 minutes in. I'm just going to briefly go through some other books I have here. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I'm going to talk. Some of them I haven't even fully read them, but I'm going to talk about why I bought them. Okay, these two. Okay, so let's just get them out of the way here. Okay, by the way, as we're talking about selling high ticket, right? Selling high ticket. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Obviously, Dale Carnegie, one of the most famous books. Now, I think this book kind of gets a bad rep sometimes for people who use it for a wrong way. It's kind of thinking like, hey, we can control people or manipulate them in certain ways. This is not. I mean, obviously, if you're in business, this is not your goal. You're not trying to do that. You're not trying to manipulate people, but you're trying to like how to genuinely win friends and agree with them, like find commonalities, ask them questions instead of you always talking, right? And as you can tell, I'm one of those people that like to talk and like to speak, right? And so, sometimes learning to listen and just ask questions is hard. But, um, if you're selling, if you're selling, especially the high ticket model in the beginning, if you're not hiring people to close the calls for you, you need to learn to ask the right questions. Okay, and so how to win friends and influence people. I have another book. I don't have it here. I don't have it here in the stack, but it's called Spin Selling. Spin Selling is another book where it teaches you how to sell high ticket items, and it's basically it talks about real companies who are like multi-million dollar companies, and he talks about the whole selling process of how to ask the right questions, leading them to the right place, and selling high tickets. So this is just one of the books I bought because, if you're in business or it's just in friends in life in general, you want to know how to win friends, influence people, right? You don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to be someone that nobody likes. Okay. These two here, the 5 a.m. miracle and the morning miracle. I mean, the reason I mean, to be honest, I haven't read it, but I mean, I skimmed it a little bit very briefly, but the reason why I want to buy this is I've always wondered how people wake up so early. I mean, you hear people, these Navy SEALs wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I mean, I think who's that actor? I think it's Mark Wahlberg or something, right? Uh, Recently, it's been circulated on the internet. This guy wakes up at 2:30. Wakes up at 2:30 in the morning. He wakes up at 2:30 in the morning, and then has this whole schedule of like training. And by the time his day is almost wrapped up, it's like where people normally get up. So it's just funny. It's just funny where like how people can do. I don't know how to do it. So I basically just buy books to try to learn how these people do it. Right? Morning, you're like a pro, but I haven't read this. If you have, maybe you can tell me. Like, I mean, how you do it, right? How to get up, have a schedule. I mean, I tried. I mean, I tried waking up early, and but it was very short-lived, right? And on those days when I wake up super early, I just can't. I just can't focus the rest of the day. I end up having to need to nap or something, and it just didn't work out that way. So, I mean, hopefully I can get something out of it. Something out of it. The Unbeatable Mind, How to Be Mentally Tough. This is actually from a Navy SEAL. A Navy SEAL, and he writes about how to have mental toughness. He has his own boot camp and stuff like that. That's why I got it, right? Bold, a very famous one. Double Double. I saw. I went to an event, and Cameron Harrell was actually in the event, and he talks about how he helped a couple of companies. These are like I think a nine-figure, like $100 million companies, and he helps them to like really grow their sales and the revenue. So I kind of got that book. Another one I'm running out of time, so I want to talk about before I kind of wrap this up is this book here. The Circle of Profit is by Annex Single. Okay, so we talked about here with .com Secrets, the marketing, right? In terms of like the funnels. In e-commerce, we talked about Tanner Larson's book. Here, what's interesting is the Circle of Profit is how to turn your passion to $1 million. He just focuses on email marketing. And he also partners with a couple guys. I think they do SendLane. Instead of people using GetResponse, or Aweber, or Infusionsoft, stuff like that, they have their own email marketing service called SendLane. And so, he tells you how he built this company, right? I think on one of the episodes that he was Anik Single was with Grant Cardone. He's saying how they made like 20 million in the previous year, and a large part of that is through email marketing. So isn't that crazy, right? Just having, and he has built his list for a long time, right? So he talks about, and I watched his webinar too. I mean, it's a person. He's like a very good in terms of delivery. He gets you excited, right? He talks about how he actually goes about doing that, right? Email marketing, one-page website, opt them in, and then you get a database of emails, right? So that's why I got this, because like email marketing is one thing that I've been lacking. I've been really good at buying traffic on the internet, on Facebook, on Google, on all these other platforms. But in terms of growing that list and kind of really monetizing the list is not something that I've done a good job at so far. So it's something that's I just really need to learn from, right? Internet users. I think I should actually checked out his webinar more so than reading the book. I mean, his book is his book is also one of those things where it's like a tripwire. He gets you into the funnel, and then he starts promoting other stuff for you. Your information empire. He talks about selling just primarily digital products. So, and the thing I like about selling digital products is that compared to e-commerce, which I do both, but selling digital products is so much easier in terms of well, in many ways, right? I mean, customer service wise, if you're not doing e-commerce, you have to deal with refunds, people not getting their orders, the chargebacks on the merchant accounts, and when you do volume, merchant accounts, they will hold your funds if they don't know why you're growing so fast. There's so many things, moving parts in e-commerce, right? Versus selling digital, I mean, your cost is basically just the advertising, and the digital product, once you create it, that's there. I mean, you don't have to go. I mean, you can update the product, right? But it's not like you don't have to deal with like tracking issues for the product where the tracking is lost. You don't have to deal with sales taxes of multiple different countries. Now, I mean, you do have to deal with some kind of sales taxes too, some digital products if you want to do it really right, but it's not as complicated as doing e-commerce. So he talks about email, 10,000 subscribers, 5% click, 500 clicks, 2% conversions, and he talks about how he can, sell through that. But at the end of the day, you still have to have traffic before you build that list, right? Without that list, you can't, promote to them. So Big Mac, fries, Coke talks about nearly double, like basically bumping them, right? Your funnels. He has a funnel, but it's a different funnel than what Russell Brunson talks about, and he gives you some examples which I like as well. Grab it. I mean, like I think these books are really complementary, right? This is focusing mainly on email marketing. .com Secrets is mainly on building funnels and how to drive traffic, building your character, and then e-commerce Evolved by Tanner Larson is mainly about e-commerce. If you have a store about e-commerce, is something that you want to check out as well. Content versus promotional email. He talks about different traffic, going viral, forums, banners, and so forth. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna about wrap it up here, guys. I think I'm gonna about wrap it up here, and this is an impromptu today, just on some of these books here. To be honest, I'm not really a reader myself. I'm not a reader myself, but these are some of the books that I find personally that kind of helped, and so I feel like if you are into the online marketing space, whether you're selling something digital or you're selling e-commerce, I think these will help you, right? I think at the end of the day, I just went through maybe 2 books, but they are good, right? I mean, e-commerce and .com Secrets, they're good. But hopefully, I can come into contact with more other books coming in the future that will help my business. I know especially these ones that I talked about, they definitely help me. So I hope it can help you as well. If you have not grabbed them, definitely check them out. Especially most of these are free shipping, right? You pay the shipping and they send you the book and then you get into their funnel, right? But it's also good to get into learning the funnels because you see what they're doing and if you don't like it, you can always refund. I mean, like Russell Brunson gives you a 30-day money back guarantee. Uh, if you don't like it, I mean, ClickFunnels has 14-day free trial, and then you can always cancel if you don't like that, right? So definitely give it a go. I think this will really help your business. If you got any questions, reach out, leave me a comment or something. But I think I'm done and I'm out. So appreciate you if you've been watching throughout this whole time. I know I've been yapping a lot and talking a lot, but these are things that have really helped me, and I hope it can help you too. So that's all.